Beachbody champions, welcome to our page today. Happy Tuesday. So excited. I don't know where you live, but we have kind of a cloudy day and supposed to rain and snow here in Utah. We have a special guest joining us today, a one-star diamond coach who is Team Elevate Your Roots, Hali Garrett. Welcome to the Beachbody Champions page.
Yay. You can hear
How are you?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Super excited to have you here sharing your success story. If you can just kind of tell us a little bit about how you found Beachbody and just share with us your story. Take it away.
All right. So what is up, you guys? My name is Hali Garrett. I am 27 years old. I am from super Northern California, basically what people would consider Oregon. I have been a coach now for 5 years, which is so crazy to me. I cannot believe it's already been 5 years. Time has flown by so fast. I first started coaching when I was 22 years old, and it's actually so crazy how life has worked out for me, and I'm so grateful for coaching, and I'll tell you guys why. So when I was like, I want to say 18, 19 years old, I was just going with the flow of life. My life was just, I didn't have a bad life growing up. I had an amazing life. I had an amazing parents. I have family that loved me, but I didn't know that I could break free of what I thought life should be like. And so when I was 18, 19 years old, I graduated high school. I had started going to college because I wanted to be a nurse. I just knew I wanted to help people. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so I need to go to school. I need to get an education and I need to get a job. That's what I need to do to be successful in life. So I ended up actually moving in with my now husband. We have been together since we were 15 years old. So 27, it's been like 11 years now. So crazy to me. But I ended up moving in with my husband. I started going to school. I was working as a caregiver. I was just going with the flow of life, like I said. But when I turned 21, 22 years old, I got diagnosed with what is called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And that was the moment that I really started to think about, is this where I want to be in my life? Is this the route that I want to be going on? Because when I was going to school, I don't know about you guys, but it takes so much to be a nurse or somebody that works in healthcare. And I personally could not do it. I was going to school and I was going to work and I was having like major panic attacks to the point where I was going to the ER for just to be able to watch my heartbeat. Like, it was that bad. I was so anxious because I just felt so out of control and I was surrounded by death. I worked with people that were in hospice care. And so I was constantly helping people pass over, which I was so grateful for. It's an amazing job and I'm so grateful for the people that do it. But my heart, I just couldn't. I'm, as you guys see, covered in tattoos. Because when my clients, we called them clients, would pass away, I got so deeply connected to them that I would get like memorial tattoos for them. And so I told myself, like, I'm going to run out of room if I keep going on this route. And so when I was 22 years old, I ended up looking in the mirror right after getting diagnosed with PCOS and asking myself, who are you? And I knew nothing about PCOS at this point. I knew nothing about what was going on with my body. All I knew was that when I looked in the mirror, I had no clue who I was. I did not recognize that person. The inside version of me did not match the outside. And so that made me feel horrible. It made my heart like drop into my stomach. And that was when I asked myself, what are you going to do? And I didn't know. I just dropped to the floor and I just asked God, or I didn't even know who I believed in at that point. But I just asked God, please, please, please help me. Just show me a sign. Please help me. And so I ended up going back to the doctor a couple times after that and being told that if I wanted to have a family, I would end up having to save money to go to a PCOS specialist, a fertility specialist, And so that broke me, you guys. That was the moment where I was like, I've been begging for help, begging for something to just help me feel happy and good in life. And then this happens. I'm told that the one thing that I have envisioned for my whole life, which is to have a family with the man that I've been with since I was 15 years old, that I can possibly not do that. And I can't do it on my own, that I'm going to need to save a ton of money to be able to have a family one day. And that broke me. I felt like I had no purpose on earth. And so at that point, that was when I just kept looking in my bathroom mirror and asking myself, who are you? That I asked myself that so many times and I did not know. But one day it just clicked in my head, okay, the one thing that I can do is take control of my health, because I had always been growing up the overweight one. I always felt like the outcast. I was always the friend that never could fit in any of my friends' clothes. When they were trading clothes, I just kind of had to sit back and pretend like it didn't bother me. I was always the one that would leave the dressing room feeling humiliated, but making excuses as to why I didn't like anything, but really nothing fit me. I was just so unhealthy. At this point, I was, like I said, only 22 years old. I was over 220 pounds and I'm only 5'2". So it was just not healthy on my body. And so I knew I needed to do something about my health and fitness. And if anything, I can just start there. And so I started just trying to do all of these different diet fads, paleo and keto and all of these things. I just didn't know about them. I was just trying them, looking it up on Google and trying things. And then I would start and stop and start and stop, because after a week, nothing was working for me. And so I just started getting so discouraged. But at that point, I was scrolling Facebook because I was numbing. I was doing anything possible to numb, which included eating food, especially at nighttime. It included a lot of drinking and a lot of numbing, which included a lot of scrolling on Facebook. And so I was scrolling on Facebook one day, and a lot of people actually don't know this. I actually had a whole different coach before, because I had found her in an Avenged Sevenfold page, but I ended up switching coaches to my now coach, who is Candace Roger, and I'm so grateful for her. But I was scrolling Facebook and I saw my coach Candace's post about how she always used to start things and stop things and start things and stop things. But when it came to her health and fitness, because of the community that she was surrounded with, she was able to continue and just keep going no matter how many times she failed. And for some reason, she said the right thing at the right time, and that clicked in my head. I don't care what she's doing. I want that. I need that in my life. And so I ended up buying my 21-day fix challenge pack. And that was back in 2015, April of 2015. That was when we only got one program on DVD at a time. I got my Shakeology and I just dove in. I just knew that at that point I needed this for my life. Like, it felt like a life or death situation for me. And so, because my coach Candace just kept sharing her story and she kept saying the right things that just clicked for me, I kept going. And so she ended up adding me into our community, and they did the same thing that Candace did for me. They supported me, they loved on me, and they didn't have this prejudgment, this pre-image of who I was, which allowed me to completely break free of what I'm from. A very, very small town. And so people already have this image of me and of who I am. And so it was really hard for me at 22 to break free from that. And this community gave me the opportunity to break free. They didn't have this judgment of me. They didn't know what everybody else, the boxes that everybody else had put me in. And so it allowed me to just be me. For the first time ever, I was sharing my transformation pictures. I was sharing my sweaty selfies. I was sharing pictures of me working out on the river bar with rocks. I was doing things that I never would have shared with the people that were surrounding me at the moment. And so, like, in my physical area, it was so empowering that I couldn't stop. I became so addicted. I craved it. I craved sharing in there because I craved their support and I craved giving their support. And so I was shocked. I was hooked. I was like addicted. But I'm not going to lie too, there was so many times when I did want to quit, but that's why it was so important for me to lean into the community. I became addicted. And that's I tell people all the time there's so many different pathways for people to become healthy and fit and happy, but we have such an amazing community and that's what hooked me. I saw Candace loving on these people and getting support also and shining so bright that I didn't care what she was doing. I needed that. I needed the love and support. And so at that point, I had finished. So after my first round of 21 Day Fix, like I said, I was hooked. I had lost 8 pounds. And for the first time ever, you guys, I had tried things over and over and over again, and nothing worked because I kept quitting after the second week. Well, I had made it through the whole 3 weeks. And not only that, I lost weight. And but in the beginning, the first week, I actually gained weight. And so I wanted to quit, but I leaned so hard into my community, kept going every time it got hard. And I made it the whole 3 weeks. I lost weight. And at that point, I was like, okay, I need the discount on Shakeology. I need to do this. I need to stick with this. So I switched my account to a discount coach and I just did 21 Day Fix because I only had the 21 Day Fix program on DVD. So I did 21 Day Fix over and over and over again. I did it 8 times and I had lost 45 pounds following the meal plan, doing the workouts, and drinking my Shakeology. I was not perfect because I was working full time as a caregiver and going to school full time. So it was really tough. It was hard and I failed a lot, but I just kept going because my community just kept loving on me. And so I, after I had lost that 45 pounds, I knew in my heart this was my way to relieve some of the anxiety that I had felt from my caregiving job. This was a way to relieve some of the anxiety that I had just felt about life because I just felt so out of control. And I was never the one that was, like I said, I never was the one that was into health and fitness. I was always the friend that was watching my friends work out and sitting on the bed eating Cheetos while they were working out. Or I was the friend that was sitting on the sidelines while my friends were watching sports and I would have signs cheering them on. And I show up to every single game, but I had the sign cheering them on. I wasn't in there doing it with them. So I was never the fitness person. I was always the overweight one. And so I had that doubt in my head, but I knew that I found something that had finally worked for me and was making me not only healthier, but feel so much better in so many different aspects of my life. And now here we were. This was in 2016. Here we were, and I now had the opportunity. I was faced with a choice because I was graduating community college, and I was faced with the choice. Do I want to go on to university? I had gotten accepted into Humboldt State University. Do I want to go on to Humboldt State University and continue pursuing this career, or do I want to stop and dive deep into coaching, which was making me feel was filling my heart in ways that nothing else had. And so at that point, I graduated and I decided to not continue on with my schooling and to dive deep into coaching instead. So I dove deep into sharing my story on my social media. I shared it with every single person that came across me, my friends, my family. And 11 months later, I ended up firing my boss, quitting my caregiving job, and completely being a full-time coach, which I think I'm supposed to insert the income disclaimer right here. Jennifer, I believe. Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success or income. It is based on your own effort, diligence, and skill. I think I said it right. But yeah, it took me 11 months to fire my boss, to quit my caregiving job, and to become a full-time coach. So at that point, I did not have to conform to anybody. I didn't have to wear what my boss wanted me to wear. I didn't have to show up at a certain time. I didn't have to listen to anybody. I could sleep in. I wasn't going to school. I worked for myself. I didn't have kids. This was 2017. So at that point, I'm like, okay, what can I do to level up? And for me, because I kept looking in the mirror, asking myself, who am I? Yeah, I was losing weight, but I still was asking myself, who am I? And so 2017 was my year to dig into self-discovery and sharing that part on my social media. And this is where I gained so much confidence. And this is why I love Beachbody so much, because we are health and fitness based. But I had the opportunity to dig so deep into my self discovery, which gave me confidence beyond confidence I ever thought that I could ever have. And so I ended up being that person that was sharing this opportunity with every single person that I came across, everyone, because it was so empowering for me. It had transformed my life on so many ways. For example, I had lost 81 pounds at that point. I had quit going to school. I had quit my job. I had finally relieved so much of the anxiety in my life. And I was working on my relationship. I was working on myself. I was conquering my PCOS. I was finally getting my body to balance itself out. My cycles were coming back because I was finally fueling my body with what it needed, which was life. And I was finally, this was my favorite part, helping people live. I was finally helping people find life rather than helping people die like I was doing before. And like I said, I'm so grateful for everybody that works in hospice and does all of that. But it was so much for me. And I'm so grateful to be able to help people live now. It makes my heart like want to explode. So I was just going with the flow of life, digging so hard into my self discovery and helping other people do the same. And in October of 2017, at this point, I was telling Jennifer yesterday, I was that silly little goose that at 16 years old was totally okay with getting pregnant. And so I had been trying to get pregnant with my now husband for years at that point. It was like, um, almost 10 years. Yeah. And so I ended up having a miscarriage in October of 2017. And while it did hurt so hard, it hurt me like beyond belief. I felt so happy and so grateful because my body was finally functioning and I was proving the doctors wrong. I didn't need fertility treatments like they kept telling me. And yeah, I had up on my vision board the fertility treatment place that I wanted to go to and the amount that I needed to save to be able to go there. And my body did it. My body created life on its own. And I was so beyond happy. And so thank God for all of the mindset work that I had done and the community that I had, because I was able to turn that around to see that this wasn't a major loss only. It was such a blessing because my body was functioning. And so I just dove so deep into having faith in my journey and trusting the process. I started 80 Day Obsession. And in February of 2018, I got pregnant again with my now miracle baby. Her name is Veda Lynn, and she is 18 months, almost 18 months. And because of coaching, I have been able to now stay home throughout my whole entire pregnancy, but also stay home with Veda for her whole life. I haven't had to leave her besides going on a cruise. I haven't had to leave her or miss any memories at all. And that is such a blessing for me because I used to look back when my coach Candace had me do my very first why video as a coach. She asked, "Why are you doing this?" And I didn't realize that having a why and having a vision was so important. And that was what was going to drive me. And she asked, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "I want to lose weight." And she said, "Why?" And she kept asking me why. And so I had to make this video. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it came out because she kept asking me why, kept having me dig deeper, that I wanted to have a family and my body was not going to allow that. And so I needed to do this if I was ever going to have a family. And so the fact that I was able to make that come true, but also when I made that video, I was thinking to myself, how am I going to have a family when I'm working literally all night and then going to school all day? How am I going to have a family if I'm not going to be able to spend time with my kids? And for some people that works, but for me, it wasn't going to. And so now I have the opportunity because of coaching to stay home with her and to be able to knock that whole anxiety off of, off of my shoulders. It's been like the greatest blessing ever. So I'm reading over my notes. So, oh yeah, okay. So, like I said, I had Veda. I had I was not the person. You guys will see coaches, which I envied, but I also admire so much, that can stick with their health and fitness throughout their whole pregnancy. And I was not that person. I was sucked so deep into the cravings. And so I ended up gaining 61 of the 81 pounds that I had lost back during my pregnancy. But it was also so amazing because I knew in my head, hey, I know how to lose this again. The girl that fought and never knew how to lose weight her whole life, that was so controlled by the scale, was telling herself, oh, you can do it again. It's fine. Don't worry. Like, you can do it again. And I did. Within Beta's first year, I had lost those 61 pounds again. So because thank you for these programs and our meal plan, Ultimate Portion Fix was my jam, and Shakeology, I have lost 142 pounds altogether. And not only that, I've now been able to show my daughter how to live a healthy lifestyle, which is huge for me because I grew up in the times where you ate fast food for every meal. And so growing up, I grew up eating fast food for every meal. Even as an adult, there was times where 3 days or 3 times a day I was going through the drive-through. And so now I have the opportunity to teach my daughter how to have a healthy lifestyle. And every single morning we wake up and we work out, and it's just habit for her. She doesn't even second guess it because we've been doing it since the day I was okay to work out. And so that is huge for me because I was bullied in school, and that is what contributed to so much of my self-doubt. And so if I can prevent her from having to go through those experiences, then that's huge. If you're a mom or anybody who cares for other children, you understand that. And so it makes me just so happy. So without coaching, without Beachbody, I personally believe that I would not have been able to learn about my body, which would have resulted in me being able to balance my body naturally and have my daughter have my family. So I don't even know if I'd have a family. I wouldn't have been able to dig so deep into myself, gain power over my freedom, stop drinking. I wouldn't have been able to surround myself with people that lift me up rather than put me down because of jealousy or whatever, which is something that I grew up doing, telling my friends, you can't wear that, you look cuter than me. And now I have people around me telling me, like, go, you can do it. And so that's huge for me. I wouldn't have that if I had never found this community that I have now. I had a coach before and she was an amazing person, but I didn't have the community that I have now. And that was huge. That's what initially made me take off. So not only that, I would also be working probably as a nurse, maybe still having panic attacks. But I just feel so powerful now because I feel like I've been able to align my life with how I envision it. So my inside version of life matches reality. And that's huge for me. So yeah, here we are 5 years in, and yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Awesome, Haley. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story. That I love you talking about women empowering women, because that really is what helps all of us be successful and be able to lead happy and fulfilling lives. And so if you had one tip that you could give our coaches who are watching here today live or watching the recording, what is one thing that you could share with them to help them in their coaching business and in their life?
Yes. So I feel really grateful that I started this so young because I feel like so many people are just on autopilot because I was on autopilot. I was doing what I thought I should do. And so when I was asked to come up with my why, with why I'm doing this, I didn't even know who I was. I didn't know what my life was. I didn't know where I came from. I mean, I knew where I was born, but I didn't know where I fit in society or any of that. And so if I had one tip for you guys that would change everything, I believe is to, and it's so simple, get a journal, sit down and write out a timeline of your life. So day one, where you're born. What I personally did was I went 1993. I was born in Redding, California, 1994, and I just did all of the events that I could remember that I could come up leading all the way up to the year that it is now. And so that will give you an idea of where you came from, who you are. And I think it's really important to write down all the challenges that you have went through, that your family has went through, all the victories that you have endured. That way you can see all you've gone through. And you can see like, whoa, oh my gosh, like I'm still here. That is going to be huge. I think writing out a timeline of your life, but doing this consistently. I personally have my coaches do this every 3 months ish. And we all just sit down and we write a timeline. We do it on our team call. We just write a timeline of our lives. We just all mute ourselves and we all do it differently. Some people might do just like the last 10 years if that's what they're focusing on or whatever. But I always do 1993, 1994, 1995. And I just write down all of the events that I can remember, brainstorm them, and just really get to know yourself, get to know where you came from, who you are, what are your roots. That is why I call my team Elevate Your Roots, because I think it's so important to know where you came from. What are your roots? That way you can change. You can take that power and you can elevate yourself. You can co-create your life, co-create yourself because you know who you are. So that is my one tip.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Haley. Coaches, everybody has a story. And just like Haley said, your story needs to be told so that you can find those people who are looking for you. You know that people can hear the same thing over and over and over again. And then at some point, somebody says the same exact thing, but the coach heard it, or the person can hear it from you, and they're going to hear it for the first time. They've heard it before, but it didn't click. And so you never know if your story is going to be the story that's going to touch that person who so badly needs to hear your story. So find it, share the gift that you have with others, because again, we can empower people to level up and be the best version of themselves. Haley, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story with us. And coaches, I hope you guys make it a fantastic week. Bye now.